A scholarly opinion.
Is that? Is that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, normally you bring arguments to me. Today I'm bringing one to you, if you don't mind.
Fine.
There's an issue with Islam. Christians
Going to
detest.
hell. He's going to hell, I swear.
Are you gonna worship the Messiah?
His babies, twins are going to hell as well. Answer that question.
Are you gonna worship the Messiah?
Than him. You look more like Jesus, more respectable. Look at him. 3-in-1 cutting
But you worship Jesus like you said on camera.
Crazy man. He's gone. See?
I have it on camera if you want to see.
Jesus always lie. Christians, they always lie. The Christians always lie, you see? Pakistan knocked you out yesterday, the Christians. Oh, no. Yeah, yesterday. They knocked him out. You know what happened yesterday? You America back.
Did you worship the Messiah yesterday?
Back India, 4 hours, we knocked you out. Super Bowl knocked you all out. That is power of Islam. Because they went with the
And
word of Islam.
when that happened, did you worship the Messiah like you said last time?
They went under the name of God, Allah.
Messiah, right? Like you said, right? Right? All right. Anyway,
India Muslim, but
what up?
no, but they were coming.
Okay.
Non-stop.
You, come.
So we went.
We're talking.
America's back.
You come to me with questions, I answer you. I never run from you. Pay me the same kindness.
We knocked them out. Knocked you down.
Damn. So, the topic of abortion in Islam remains on. Siraj, you little criminal, come here. Siraj, you tell me to come. Siraj, come. I have a question for you about abortion in Islam. Siraj, you small criminal.
He's talking about
Siraj,
abortion.
yes,
The Bible says
come,
kill the
come.
babies.
Okay, so,
One
Siraj,
Samuel chapter
I have a
3
question
verse
for you.
3.
Siraj, I have about 3 arguments for you.
Jesus said kill the babies.
The first one is this.
Matthew chapter
Do we
15
both
verse
agree
4. I'm not
that
talking
if
about
a
abortion.
child or
Jesus
if
said,
anybody, in fact, a human being... Wait, Siraj, come back. Siraj, come back. Siraj, Siraj. Siraj, you little criminal. People, we're having an issue. We're trying to understand the case for abortion within Islam. But all of the mu'minoons in this park cannot provide a rational reason as to why, number one, Allah permits an action that leads to the death of mu'minoon. Let's not forget, all children are born Muslims, implying that when they're in the womb, they are indeed Islamics. So, we are committing a genocide against Muslims by allowing abortions. Why would a all-knowing, all-good God allow you to have abortions as late as 4 months or as early as a month and a bit? And secondarily, what is the argument to be made that in James and within Islam, we agree that if a spirit leaves the body is dead. Therefore, if a body exists inside of a woman for anywhere between 40 or 120 days, yet has no soul, how can we say that they have a live child inside of them? Technically, we would have to say that between 40 and 120 days, all women carry dead things inside of their bodies. And then Allah eventually decides to send his angels in order that they can be given life. Okay, come.
Babies are breathing.
Come.
What are you saying?
Perfect. He identifies something. If the babies are breathing, can you please explain to me then how the soul is not in the baby until either 40 or 120 days, when we both agree that the soul is what enables you to breathe? Come.
Anything that breathes,
okay,
you cannot harm.
Perfect.
The baby breathes,
Perfect.
and you're harming the baby.
Okay. So, when a baby is in the womb in Islam, between 40 or 120 days, do you guys believe that that baby has a soul?
Yes. Baby breathes. That means you cannot harm the baby.
Does it have a soul?
And baby is sinless.
Wait
and
a
you
moment.
say, Christians say,
does it have a soul?
Babies are not sinless. They're sin.
My
they have
Messiah
sin.
worshiper.
That's what they say.
Does that baby have a soul between 40 and 120 days?
Babies have they breathing?
Yes. Do they have a soul? And if you say no,
I'll just say anything.
Do they have a soul?
You cannot harm a baby. They're breathing.
40. I'll cut you. 40 or 120 days, according to. So there's a hadith number one. There's a hadith that mentions that on the 40th day, Allah sends the angels to breathe life into a fetus and then write down its fortunes, how it will be, if it will be wretched, how wealthy it will be. And then some of your scholars is it the Hanafi or the Maliki who believe 120? The Hanbali believe that you can go up to 120 days before that event occurs. That implies that between that time period, either 40 for some schools of thought or 120, an abortion is perfectly halal. Now here's the issue. How do you justify the idea that between anywhere from 40 to 120 days, depending on the madhab you follow, that fetus or child does not yet have a soul.
Okay, what if I don't believe the Hanafi or Maliki school?
Perfect. Then you are basically committing some form of innovation or bid'ah, and you're forming your own school with your own thoughts. Now, the problem would be your own school and your own... Hold on. Your own school and your own thought and their opinion. How would you successfully track that back to Muhammad?
No, Muhammad, the only thing when I know for sure is 4 months pregnant. 4 months pregnancy, you see a stomach, and you're not allowed to enter that woman during that time. That's the only thing I know from the sunnah, where you say sunnah nabawiyya. Like 4 months, a woman is supposed to not meet another man during that time.
Okay, how about abortions?
Abortions can happen, yeah.
Okay.
I'm a doctor, so I did abortion.
Perfect. Now, here is my ethical question for you. All children are born Muslims, correct? The Quran says this.
They're born innocent, not Muslims.
The Quran says that they're born
innocent.
Muslims, and it's their parents that made them Jews and Christians.
No, innocent.
Do you want to see it? I can show it to you.
Okay, Muslims.
Okay.
They're innocent.
All right.
They're going to go to heaven.
Okay.
They're going to go to heaven. In the Quran, it says they're going to go to heaven.
It doesn't
Wherever.
say that, because if you read Sahih Muslim Book of Destiny,
I don't
there
like
are
it. I don't like it.
instances.
Go ahead.
There are instances where Muhammad actually says that we don't know where a child will go, even if they were innocent,
go ahead,
because we don't know what sins they may have committed that Allah will judge them against.
Okay.
So, since you're a doctor who has done these abortions, can you please explain to me how it is correct that you, a doctor, are basically killing Muslim kids? Because every child is born Muslim.
No, when we do an abortion, the child would either be dead or the mother is going to die.
So you're killing Muslim kids.
I'm not. Okay, you can say technically.
Right, but then now, how is that a good thing when? Don't worry, we're almost done. Hear him. No one's calling you. He's lying. Move, Siraj. I'll answer my question. Siraj, either move or answer my question.
Muslim.
Siraj.
The brother is calling you.
No, he's not. That's a lie.
Okay,
That's a lie.
Take a hike.
Take a hike.
I'll go to Moscow.
Take a hike. Take a hike. Take a hike.
Who drinks alcohol?
Siraj?
I can smell alcohol.
Yes, Siraj,
Is that
you drink alcohol
that you?
and camel pee mixed together. So
I
either
think
you're going to answer my question.
urine of the Bible.
You're
and
taking
poo.
the urine straight from the tap.
Toast with
So
poo.
you're either going to answer
In
my
the
question
Bible,
or run away.
Isaiah
What are you
chapter
gonna do?
36,
What are you going to do?
verse 12.
You gonna run away or stay with me? What are you gonna do?
Ezekiel chapter 12,
Okay, you're
verse
running away.
4.
I'll come to you. So, very lastly, if all the
Chapter 4,
principles that
verse
we've talked
12.
about so far are correct, if indeed every
12
child
to
is born a
15.
Muslim, yes, you're allowed to abort children between 40 and 120 days.
No.
Yes,
No.
This book allows to kill the babies.
I know. I'm saying.
The Bible says kill the babies.
Bye.
So why is he talking about the babies when the Bible allows?
Siraj,
What's wrong with this
that
guy?
doesn't answer
1
the question
Samuel chapter
in your
15
religion.
verse 3.
Because
Matthew
if you can
chapter
only, if
15
all you can
verse
do
4.
is move
Jesus
over
saying,
the blame
kill the
somebody
children
else.
if they disobey
So
you.
here's the issue.
Why are you
Jesus does
talking
not
about
say to
that?
kill all children, but Allah says you can kill
What are you
all
on about?
children between
Go
41 and
kill
20 days.
them, all of them, kill
Siraj,
them.
if you do not leave,
Kill them.
me and the rest of the Christians will make sure that cannot happen.
He can stay. He can stay.
I'm not staying. This guy, he wants to
No,
talk to
you
me.
can stay. You can
Nah, I
stay.
don't want to, I don't want to.
And run from me because you're a coward, Siraj, and a tiny little criminal.
the problem-
I
you know
love
the
you
problem
though.
why-
So,
You are a coward.
You know the problem?
even he agrees. You're a coward.
You know the
Because you asked the
problem?
question.
You know
The problem is you. The problem is that you drink camel pee, and the problem is that you're an idiot. All right. So, my very last question to you, from a moral perspective.
Sure.
If you commit these actions,
You're saying when as a human being we cannot kill other human beings.
well, I am saying, how does it make sense?
No.
to-
You're saying no. I'm asking you a question.
Yep.
As a human being, we're not allowed to kill other human beings.
Okay, so as a human being, there is a justifiable way.
Which
that
way?
we
Which
can-
way?
For example, protecting yourself or protecting your family, for example. So in time of war,
Exactly.
okay?
When I do an abortion, I'm protecting the woman or the child.
But you can't protect the child with an abortion. It's
No,
impossible.
it's either dead. I'm gonna take it out to protect the woman.
So-
The child is dead, or otherwise, or
So
another way.
that wouldn't be an abortion if the
It's
child is
an abo-
already
it's an-
dead
no, it's an abo-
inside
okay,
of the woman.
I'll try.
People commonly mischaracterize what an abortion is.
Yes.
In a case of a medical procedure, you can just have a C-section. An abortion is never medically necessary.
I get that. I get
And
that.
also,
Okay,
that is
okay,
not the
give it.
position of any.
Okay,
that,
give him.
but
give
as,
him,
but
give-
and
no,
another thing
no,
as well.
give him,
And another thing.
Give him the mic. Give him.
And another thing.
I'll go into this.
And another thing. I just want to fact check you, or rather, just say that your etiquette within this discussion is improper. So a few things. One, the like he said, just said.
Okay, give me 1 second. So then you don't need to
Yeah.
explain a lot for me.
Yeah.
If a baby is in the womb, perfectly healthy, no abortion. is
Again,
morally-
that's what I was going to say.
No abortion.
Every single school of jurisprudence within Islam does not stipulate an if condition, rather just says the time when it can take place.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. The justification is not
it's
the
not allowed. It's not allowed.
again.
Abortion is not
Again,
It is.
It is.
I can show it to you if you want to see. I can bring it up. No worries. So give me a moment. And again, it will depend upon which school it is.
No, show it. No, show it to me.
No worries. So, let me.
Look.
I'm sure. Oh wait, do you want the first? Do you want the Islamic websites or?
Abortion is generally considered haram,
Okay.
forbidden.
Okay. Right. Now, if you read on, my friends, if you read on, it says, but with exceptions,
Yes.
particularly regarding the mother's health
Like I said.
or the fetus viability.
Yes.
Most scholars agree.
Wait. Do you know a medical condition called anencephaly?
I do not know.
When the brain doesn't form
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
Even if the child is born,
Okay.
it's gonna die in the first day.
Okay.
would never be alive if the brain didn't develop.
No, it will be alive.
So?
I've seen it.
So.
You're saying no. I've seen
Okay.
it.
So I have an argument
seen
for.
it.
I have an argument for that. No.
I've seen it.
No.
We do
That's
abortions for that.
Okay.
As well.
So, to finish off very quickly, most scholars agree that abortion is permissible before the fetus reaches 120 days, almost 4 months, from conception. When when it's believed that the soul is breathed into the fetus. So, my problem remains.
The soul.
Yes,
Your problem is the soul.
my problem is the soul.
I don't. I think.
There's a couple of problems with the soul.
Number
one.
I think once a woman gets pregnant the first day, a sperm enters the egg.
Yep.
That is the time where, not a soul, but like God gave him life.
So
God permitted that.
life is in the soul.
No.
Yes, because without the soul, so when you die, what happens to you? Your soul leaves your body. That's how we know you're dead. Nobody can be alive without a soul. If you do, tell me one person who's alive without a soul.
Everybody.
Everyone's alive without a soul.
Everybody's alive.
Without a soul.
A soul is being alive.
Okay, so however you want to define it, something is happening here, according to your scholars, that is causing that baby to be alive at 120 days.
I don't believe in it. That's why I told this person to go
Okay.
away.
So,
So I'm a Muslim, but
If you follow-
I follow Islam. I'm from Sudan.
Okay.
So when I read the Quran, I'm reading not translation. I'm reading exact language of Arabic.
right, but
It doesn't say that in the Quran at all.
but that's why you appeal to the Sunnah, which also includes the hadith and the biography.
For me, some hadith I take, some hadith I don't.
At least the Sahih ones you'll take, at least.
No, I won't take them. Why should I take them?
So generally within
Why should I
Islam,
take them?
generally within
No,
Islam,
why should I take them?
I'm giving you the justification. Generally within Islam,
I know your justification.
It's agreed.
No, I know your justification.
That
I know,
certain
no,
hadiths-
Look, I'm not arguing.
you said
with
why. I'm giving you the reason.
No, I know. But sahih, when you mean sahih, what does that mean?
So suppose that, so this is actually the answer I'm going to give you.
Yeah.
It is agreed within the Islamic corpus of writings
No,
that there are
it's not
specific
agreed. It's not
quotations.
agreed.
It is agreed.
It's
Because
not agreed.
if it's not agreed, show me who disagrees with this.
It's not
That-
agreed.
Unless you're Shia.
Go to that. Yeah, exactly. Go to
Unless
that
you're
Shia.
Shia.
Go to that Shia.
Then let me be even more precise. Within Sunni Islam.
Sure.
And you are Sunni.
Yeah.
Okay, within Sunni Islam, it is widely agreed that there are different methodologies and different levels of strictness that you apply when you are determining if a quotation,
Sure.
a saying, or a teaching
Yes.
came from Muhammad.
Yes.
Now, This is everything from the strength.
Okay. Let me tell you. Okay.
But you understand my points.
I understand your point.
Okay.
But I want you to understand my point. of view,
Okay.
Okay.
But
No.
I have an issue with your point. If you get to decide for yourself what the Quran says
No,
and
no,
doesn't
no,
say,
no, no, no,
and
no,
never
no,
appeal
no,
to your scholars,
no, no.
how do you know you're correct?
No. First of all, when you say hadith, what does that mean?
So, are we just gonna get into a definition battle?
No, not a battle.
Okay.
It's never a battle. What is hadith?
Assume that I know what a hadith means because I'm able to describe to you how a hadith is judged.
No,
Assume I know what it means.
no. I'm saying the original word. What does the word hadith?
I don't think that word has a bearing on our conversation.
Why not?
Because defining the word doesn't actually help us to get to the point where we are saying that the different schools have different
meanings.
disagreements.
Yeah,
No. Different disagreements on when an abortion can take place.
Sure.
And none of them have anything to do with the health of a mother or the health of the baby. There is no scholar that tells you that you cannot get an abortion within 119 days only if the child is, because for example,
true, yeah.
for example, imagine this.
No, true.
No, hold on.
Yeah,
Let me give you a reason. Let me give you a reason.
So true.
In the past, before you have modern technology,
Sure.
people follow this rule.
Yes.
How on earth would they tell in the year 900 if a baby was going to be born with deformities? They wouldn't be able to tell.
No.
Yet, they allowed abortions back then. That is why today, just because you have advances in medical technology, the sunnah doesn't change to fit that.
You're right.
So that is why there is no reason
you're right.
given.
No, you're right. You're
Okay.
right.
So now, I just want to ask you your opinion. Your opinion.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on the idea? Now, you have your own version of Islam, that's fine.
Sure.
But what's your opinion on the idea that these schools allow for abortions for whatever reason between
Personal, political-
40 days and 120
Personal
days?
political reasons.
Okay. So you don't think there's a moral reason behind this?
No.
Okay. So then, like we talked about earlier, do you believe that since all children are born Muslims, that it is correctable in any way to abort them? Because we agree that the good is to worship Allah. So if you're robbing somebody of the ability to worship Allah, how's that a good thing?
No, I didn't say no. I didn't say.
I'm asking for your opinion.
My opinion, aborting a perfectly reasonable child is immoral. Whatever happens.
Okay, fine.
Immoral. Whatever happens.
Okay,
A
now-
perfectly normal
now-
baby.
Okay,
Immoral.
okay,
I would never do it.
Okay, perfect. So you have morality. However, within the tradition,
There's sometimes they don't have the morality like this. Seriously.
okay, fair enough. At least you're honest about the conversation. I, as a Christian, we are, as you often know, against abortion. Even back in the first century.
You're saying you're a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
We believe in Jesus, so it's not like and we will follow. We try and follow
So
his
this is
teachings.
a different conversation.
No, I know.
Well,
I know.
I appreciate that you say that.
Yeah.
But of course, I have an issue with that because I believe that if you actually want to follow Jesus, you can't do it as a Muslim. You have to be a Christian
Why can't you do it as a Muslim?
because Muhammad gets in the way.
He never did that.
Huh?
Muhammad never did all
No,
this stuff.
so Muhammad gets in the way.
No,
of
no,
you
no,
following
no,
Jesus properly.
no. I'm saying Muhammad never did any of this stuff.
There was, sorry.
The 40 days, he never did any of this stuff.
Right. So the idea is that with the Sunnah, right? These are the recommendations.
But it's like this is a problem I have with Islam and the Gospels. The same problem. Because
It wouldn't be.
No, it would be. I'll tell you why. Because the people saying Muhammad did this stuff,
Yes.
they're not Muhammad.
Right. But you can't.
And the same thing with Jesus Christ. The people saying he did this stuff are Matthew, Luke, and John.
Let's talk about that very briefly.
And they're not him.
Let's talk about it very briefly.
They're not him.
For example, as a Sudanese man, I'm guessing that you have a similar culture to my Somali friends, where, for example,
no, we don't.
Listen to me.
Okay.
I assume that you know the names of your last maybe 5 or 10 male ancestors. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, sure.
Like my Somali friends. That's what I was going to say. Okay? I'm not saying you are Somali. I'm saying that you share commonality. Now, the things that are attributed to your grandfather or your great-grandfather who you wouldn't have met, how do you know they're true if the things
don't know they're
don't
true.
come from them,
I don't know they're
but they
true.
come from
I
other
don't-
people?
I don't know they're true. I don't know.
So then,
I don't know the truth.
How do you know anything is true about history, for example, when the majority of the things that we know about anybody don't directly come from themselves, but from other people around them?
This is the answer I've thought about a lot.
Okay.
Seriously,
Okay.
thought about a lot. The things that are repeated usually are correct.
Okay.
Repeated.
Okay.
The repetitive of it.
So there are many. Well,
For example, this is why I believe in the Quran,
okay.
because it's repeated. Like when Muhammad recited the Quran, he repeated it like a congregation, for example. Like he said this, and then would do prayers 5 times a day, every day, for 20 years till he died.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two problems with that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Something that is multiply attested, like for example, news. How do you determine fake news and real news? One way is how often is the news being reported by multiple different sources?
No. Yeah, okay. I get that point.
But
I get
there's an
that.
issue with this.
I get that. I know.
Can't a lie be repeated as well?
Yes, it can. Yes, it can. But for me, like for Muslims, generally, first of all, is like he repeated the Quran and he told them don't write the Hadith. Even in the Quran, it says don't write the Hadith. And if you want to go down to it, Hadith means the sayings of Prophet Muhammad.
Sayings and actions, yeah.
No. Hadith means sayings and actions, right?
That's what I just said.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So what's the 100% thing Muhammad from his time was his action talk?
But the problem is.
No. What's his talk? What from his time? What was his talk?
But the problem is.
No. Forget his problem. I want you to
it's
answer the
not,
question. I want you to answer the question.
Okay.
'Cause,
So my answer is.
No. Because the Quran is his talk. We didn't see God. We didn't see the angel Gabriel, right?
Well, apparently in the Hadith, sometimes the Sahaba saw him as an old man. In
Whatever.
Apparently.
But the Quran, after the angel gave him the thing,
Right.
and
But
who?
there's an issue.
No,
with
no,
this,
no.
right? And don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to find an issue in everything you're saying. I'm just trying to hold you consistent.
Yeah, sure.
You don't know that the Quran came from Muhammad. People just tell you it did because you weren't there to see it. And
Who
don't-
did it come from then?
So hold on. It comes from somebody. It's an origin for the Quran, right? But
From
you,
God. It's from
you
God.
only
It's from God.
believe that
It's from God.
because other people tell you
No,
such.
okay.
And earlier you said that you can't believe what people tell you if it doesn't come from the person themselves.
No. But I'm saying
Somebody needs to test the idea that it comes from him.
No, but I'm saying the Prophet Muhammad, the book, the Quran came from him. We don't know it. If he never existed.
But that's because people tell you it came from him.
No. From the time they wrote it down.
Yeah, because people tell you as such. What first-hand evidence do you have to suggest that it came from him? You don't have any.
Look, I never lived in the time of.
That's my point. Because when you said that you don't take what other people say,
Okay.
you can't work that way.
So then I want you to be consistent as well.
Okay, go for it.
John, Matthew, Mark,
Yes.
Luke, and John.
Yes.
Are they? They're also people. Am I supposed to believe what they said?
Here's me being consistent.
Yeah.
I believe that you can get to the truth of what a person said
That's what I'm saying.
by relying on the things that people say about them.
That's what I'm saying.
You said the opposite.
No, I
you
didn't
said
say-
that you couldn't trust what somebody else said about somebody if you can't tell it
yeah,
came from them.
No, I'm saying Muhammad told them to write the Quranic verses at the time when he was alive.
Okay, that's one point. But earlier you said, and it's on video if you want to see it.
No, it's
you,
okay, it's
you,
okay.
you mentioned that you want to know what somebody says from their own mouth. That's your issue with the Hadith and the Gospels, not from what other people claim they said. So me being consistent, I say the opposite. I say that you can know what somebody said based upon what others report that they said.
I don't believe that because that's how I have the same problem.
That would mean that you don't believe the Quran.
No, I believe the Quran because it came from Muhammad and he wrote it down at the time.
But you only know that it came from him because others say so.
No, because he wrote it. They wrote it down.
For example, in the Quran itself, does it mention that Muhammad wrote the Quran?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So how would you know it's him?
No. He spoke
Without
it.
others. Not without others.
He spoke it, and he told his scribes to write it down.
Right. So the scribes are the way by which you even know
Okay,
that
okay.
Muhammad said it.
Yeah, but he told them to write it in front of him. Is that a more, for example, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Did Jesus tell them to write this?
So Jesus told them many things.
Yeah, no, I know. Like
They had
like
a culture.
hadith, like
hold
a
on,
hadith, like
hold
a
on.
hadith, like
They
a
had
hadith.
they had a culture where they wrote things down, taxes,
Sure,
permits,
sure, sure.
like deeds,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So obviously, there's no need to tell you to write something if you're hearing something.
Sorry, this went off place.
In the modern day, if you're hearing something important, you will note it down, record it on camera, or something of that
Like
way,
now,
right?
like now.
And I don't need to tell you to do it. So in the same way, in the first century, wait,
no.
Let me finish. In the first century, if you're under the training of a rabbi, which Jesus was, and he's teaching you things, you write it down without being
And that's the
told to
problem
do
of,
so.
and that's the problem of hadith.
Well, it depends, right? Because
It's a problem with hadith.
apparently,
It's a problem because you keep calling to me the hadith.
Yes.
And most of the stuff, and I agree with you that a lot of these things are wrong. The soul and everything. I agree with you. They're
Okay,
wrong.
okay.
Right. I'm not going against what I said earlier. Right. First of all, like agree on
we
that.
finished that.
Yeah, I
but,
agree.
But now my topic was, or the topic was that you say we follow Jesus. My conclusion here is that, or my contention with what you said is, I appreciate you saying it.
But this is a problem. Like Muslims do the same thing where they quote to you the hadith, which sometimes is wrong.
And
a lot
the
of the times
reason
it's
why
right.
we got there, there was because you said that we both follow Jesus. I said I appreciate you saying that. But in order to actually follow Jesus, you have to be a Christian.
Why?
Because in the Quran alone, there is not enough information, historical or even sayings-wise, about what Jesus did, said,
No, nobody
or
knows.
taught.
Nobody
But
knows.
then we
even Christians
but
don't
then
know.
we
I mean,
claim that we do.
look.
No, wait, hold on. Let
No,
me
no,
finish.
no,
Let me
no.
finish. Please, let me finish. We claim that we do because if you ever read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John,
okay.
you would see that there's far more information about the teachings, actions, and sayings of Jesus than you have in the entirety of the Quran. So to follow someone properly, you have to know what you can about them.
No, okay. On the same point,
Okay.
but a different perspective, if you can accept that. Sure.
Depends if it's good or correct.
Okay, yeah. The Pope died a few days ago, right? The Pope. Are you which part of Christianity? For example, you said to me Hanafi, Maliki.
These are just schools within Sunni Islam.
Yeah. Yo, which one are you? Catholic, Protestant, whatever.
So these are denominations, not really schools, but sure, I'm a Protestant.
You're Protestant.
Yes.
Okay. And you believe the Pope, the Catholic Pope?
Well, let's see. Let's see where it goes.
No. They believe the Catholic Pope was he's God on earth or the Holy Spirit.
It
kind of
doesn't
thing.
say.
No, God on earth.
Even
No,
the Catholics, I have
Jesus-
one right behind me. Even he wouldn't say
Okay,
that.
I'm sorry. Okay, Jesus was God on earth for
Yes.
you. Okay, but
And
the
all
Pope,
Christians.
But the Pope, is he a representative of God on earth?
So he represents God in as much as his role
Yes.
as the pontiff of Rome.
Yes.
He isn't God himself on earth, but in the same way that, for example, Muhammad represented Allah, the popes and the patriarchs represent an office that Jesus told them to fill, aka being a
They
spiritual
killed
leader.
Jesus. They killed
The
Jesus.
Pope didn't kill Jesus. Okay?
No, Romans.
Yeah,
Romans.
Yeah, but and this is actually the best part. This is the
The,
best part.
the Romans killed
This
Jesus.
is the best part, right? So the reason why we in Christianity invite you over is we want you to sort of ponder on the idea that even though a group of people,
Okay. Why can't you ponder? Why can't you
let me
ponder that
finish.
Muhammad was also a prophet?
I can, and I will talk about it with you. I will talk about it.
Sure.
Let me give you my case for Christianity. Even though a group
They
of people,
killed him, right? First of all,
We're talking about that.
First of all, say he killed.
We're talking about that.
They killed him, right?
We're talking about that right now.
No, first of all, say he killed him.
let me.
They killed him or not?
Allow
they
me.
crucified him.
Allow me.
They crucified him or not?
You gotta allow me. I am touching on that point right now. You gotta allow me. But don't worry. I don't run from anything. Everything that we discuss, I will address.
Sure.
So, when it comes to the idea of Christianity, what I think is attractive about the faith is despite the fact that in the first century, groups of people, not only groups of people within the Jewish community, but also otherwise in the Roman community and the Greek community and elsewhere, even though they spat at, insulted, tried to stone, crucified, tortured Jesus, he still sent his disciples out not to make war on them,
Perfect. Yeah.
but to invite them
I agree with you.
into his kingdom.
I agree with you.
So Muhammad, why don't I follow Muhammad or give him the same charity? Muhammad doesn't have that same level of grace about him as a character. Muhammad,
okay, so your problem is
you know exactly right. Muhammad comes and pretty much treads on everything that Christ establishes.
What do you tread on?
For example, the idea of the crucifixion. For us, that is the way by which we attain salvation. That our sins are taken away by Jesus, and we opt into following Him in order.
What is it? No. I know.
We opt into following Him in order that He, being God, may send the Holy Spirit to work with us in order to conform our image to the image of the Son of God.
Sure.
Muhammad kind of spits on that by denying the crucifixion.
But he, at the same time, he said he was a great prophet.
That's not enough. For example, imagine if...
Wait, what? You're saying he spits on him. I'm telling you, from our perspective...
Let me show you.
No.
Let me show you. We agree that a prophet is a high-standing a status for a person, right? Sure. But then we agree that God is an even higher standing status for a person.
Sure.
Okay? Now, if you say that Jesus is a great prophet, but he's not God, that's like me saying that Muhammad was a great caravan driver, but he's not a prophet.
Well, that's what you're saying anyway, so...
Well, effectively, in the Christian worldview, it's different. In the Christian worldview, we accept the idea that there can be prophets of false gods.
Sure.
So Muhammad can be a prophet, but not of a true God. We have many examples of this in the Bible, Old and New Testament.
I don't want to go to, if you speak to other Muslims.
That's fine.
No.
I enjoy talking to you, though.
No. I'm saying when you speak to other Muslims,
okay,
they say they'll bring the Holy Trinity and all these arguments. I don't want to go into that.
Well, that's fine. So we started with abortion. Now we're going into following Jesus. That's fine.
No.
We're still here.
No, I'm saying like I don't want to discuss a Trinity because I don't believe there's two gods.
I didn't say
No. I'm saying like when you say God is Jesus in the flesh, we can't believe that.
You can.
Why?
Because you assume that the Quran is correct, and that's why you can't believe it. Hold on.
No.
Regardless of what the Quran says, do you agree that truth exists outside the Quran?
What do you mean truth?
Do you agree that there are things that can be objectively tested and proven outside of the Quran?
I'm a scientist.
Perfect. So that would mean that just because the Quran says something to be the case doesn't automatically mean it's true.
Tell me one thing wrong that the Quran said.
Huh? The crucifixion.
But you can't prove it. Either you or me.
So the widely attested and widely reported conclusion as to the life of Jesus is that it ends with him being crucified.
No, but you can't prove it.
So when you say proof, in the same way that it's a historical event, I can apply any method.
No. Okay.
Let me finish.
No. Let me finish. Let me.
I was talking, so I have to finish. You can apply any scrutiny whatsoever that you apply to determining if something is true from the first century to the crucifixion itself.
Do you think what people said apart from the prophets is true at all?
If they were saying, here's a theological notion. If they're saying what the prophet said, then they are infallible in that way.
So now you agree with me that the isnad and the hadith can be infallible because you don't believe it at all. Because these people will say because they have isnad, like this person said it to this, and we have a source from this and this. Yeah. So then you have to believe that is true.
So here is my issue. So I can grant you the idea that they have faithfully transcribed the messages through the ages.
True.
However, my main point would be that it's inherently not infallible.
Exactly.
Because the origin of the information is wrong.
Exactly.
So I say that the origin, being Muhammad, is wrong. And if you're saying exactly,
you're
that
saying
means
no,
that the origin of our teaching, Jesus has to be wrong. Which you have to substantiate.
Are you saying Muhammad never existed or Jesus never existed?
I'm saying that Jesus did, and I'm
Muhammad
saying
never existed.
Muhammad is up in the air. I can grant you that he existed. That's fine. I can say sure thing, right? Okay. But if he existed, then I'm gonna put some historical scrutiny on him
And then they
and
have
showcase how he disagrees.
and then they have the isnad and the stuff
Yeah,
in hadith.
that's fine. But the very origin of the information is wrong.
Who's the origin then?
Muhammad.
And he's wrong.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. He's wrong. Therefore, everything that is faithfully transmitted from him is also inherently wrong.
Okay, why is it wrong then? Tell me.
For many matters, but my biggest matter of the crucifixion.
Because you're a Christian.
Because I'm a Christian and I follow the tradition that was handed down from the disciples who were with Jesus. So
Who were the disciples?
So take the direct disciples were Matthew and John, who write two of the Gospels. And then later, the disciples of Paul and the disciples of Peter, also
Which is Luke and
Mark. Also add two additional viewpoints of the gospel message. So I am more likely to believe people who were contemporaneous with Jesus than somebody who comes far later.
Okay.
Someone who comes far later.
Okay.
From the
I'll go with you on that point.
Yeah. So my brother, say for example, I in the modern day, I know I said I will grant you, but say in the modern day, I say that Muhammad didn't exist in the modern day.
Sure.
Yet you have histories of people who were with him who said he does. Are you more likely to trust me or them?
I trust. I follow the truth. It's not I'm trusting anybody.
Right, exactly right. But as a method of the truth, you'll be more likely to trust somebody who lived at the same time as an event than somebody who comes way later and who's far removed from the event but makes a claim about the event with no evidence.
Oh, okay. So when Muhammad says he wasn't crucified
He
and he
brings
was
no
made,
evidence as to why.
and he was born 600 years after,
Far removed,
Yeah.
with no evidence, making a claim.
Okay.